All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel. TD, and this is my son Matt, and we're going to bring you an article today. Just want to share this article with you here real quick. Hope y'all are having a great day. I'm going to share screen here. As always, we will post the article down below, and this article is at frankenfood.news. And the sources article are embedded in the article, so you can always click on the hyperlinks to check out the information. And
this is pretty nuts.
White House nutrition advisor creates food compass that vilifies whole foods while promoting junk like Lucky Charms. We talked about postmodern and being postmodern and post-truth world, and this is an embodiment of what's happening right in front of our face, how they redefined everything. And so now, we know about the food pyramid and how it was started by the grain companies in the 50s and 60s. And that's what started this whole breakfast cereal and this high fructose corn syrup breakfast cereal. I realized when it started, it wasn't all high fructose corn syrup, but it was all refined grains.
Yeah.
And it's why you had like all this high carbohydrate diet was all started by all this pseudo junk science from the 60s, but we were trusting the science and we were trusting the technocrats and the smart scientific people that know what's good for us, right? So now they're creating a food compass. This wording is incredibly bizarre, weird, and dystopian, like food compass. Like this whole food thing is so confusing, and you are afloat, listlessly wandering on a sea of disinformation. So you need a food compass. And who would have thought that somehow this food compass would make Lucky Charms healthy? In today's neurotic upside down world, yes, that I affectionately refer to as clown world, it is absolutely clown world, not just in this type of dystopian way, but even just walking around and watching people with red and blue and all the Kool-Aid hair. I'm sure that's very good for your immune system when you dye your hair red 40 or blue 20. I'm sure it's even better for you than when you eat it in your Lucky Charms is when you like put it in your hair. But this is clown world, so that's what you're supposed to do in clown world. You're supposed to dress and act like a clown. So in today's neurotic upside down world, good is often labeled as evil and evil is often advertised as virtuous. So it's no surprise that the White House nutrition advisor would declare that synthetic sugary foods like Lucky Charms and frosted mini wheats are healthier than whole foods and fresh meat. Joe Biden's latest appointee of nutrition advisor is Dr. Darush Mozaffarian. And I didn't get a chance to look up Darush Mozaffarian's, what he has his PhD in. For all we know is he has his doctorate in the eastern migration of the black-tailed skunk. I don't know if he's like literally has a nutritional doctorate. A lot of times in the technocracy and in the technocratic universe, this white lab coat guy will literally have his doctorate in like dialects of the click and the pop and Papua New Guinea and all that stuff. I do not know. But nevertheless, his recommendations are clinically insane. He helped put together a food compass nutrient profiling system that ranks foods into 3 groups: those that should be encouraged, those that should be moderated, and those that should be minimalized. And notice all the neutral speak too. It's very disturbing.
Moderate, minimize.
It's very disturbing. Each food has a score from 1 to 100, with 1 being the worst ranking and 100 being the best.
1 is meat. 100 is Lucky Charms.
Yeah. The Food Compass rankings were published in Nature Journal, widely considered one of the most authoritative scientific publications in the world. Corn syrup and toxic dyes are now considered healthier than whole foods, according to our government. Thanks, government.
Thanks. You're so great.
That's the same government that in the 50s taught government school kids that in the case of a nuclear bomb, you got under your desk and you put your head between your legs because that would do something in case of a nuclear explosion.
A nuclear bomb.
Yeah. While watermelon and kale scored at the top of the chart with a score of 100, junk foods like frosted mini wheats also scored high on the rankings with a score of 87. Dr. DeRouche put the popular cereal brand in the to be encouraged category and claimed it is healthier than whole foods such as chicken breast, yogurt, millet, dates, and almonds, among numerous nutrition sources. Also at the top of the list is Honey Nut Cheerios, which received a to be encouraged score of 76.
So he's saying, okay, here's the list. You should really eat these.
Yes.
So it's like normal healthy food
like,
that you'd be like, it's really good to get this in your diet because it's really good for your immune system and your health, your overall health, like watermelon and kale and so many more. Now they're putting these crazy things on the list, junk foods that are like, dude, you got to get some Lucky Charms in your life.
Yeah, ultra processed junk foods. And this is what we keep talking about, even with these supposed plant-based foods that they keep pimping, is these are ultra processed. These aren't plant-based. These are chemical compounds made in chemical factories. And I mean, obviously, these highly processed GMO oats like in Honey Nut Cheerios, and then ultra embedded with high fructose corn syrup and artificial colors that have been proven to create all kinds of neurological issues, like, red dye 40 and these different reds, blues, and yellows are incredibly bad for you. And somehow in clown world, our government and this Food Compass is telling you, no, this is highly encouraged.
Highly consumed.
Lucky Charms, full of artificial colors and corn syrup, scored higher than canned pineapple and boiled eggs. Meanwhile, ground beef was ranked all the way at the bottom of the chart and placed in the to be minimized category. This is another thing that they do, which is obviously done on purpose, is there is never any distinction when it comes to meat as far as like how it is raised and harvested. It's always like red meat, and it's like all red meat's created equal. And they're going to look at that CAFO meat just like they would look at something that was grass fed and raised properly and harvested properly and preserved properly. And it just shows you that it's just junk science, and it's completely not science. This article at the bottom posts this the posting from the Nature Journal, and if you read through it, first off, it's a joke and it's incredibly scientific, and they put a bunch of charts in there. It's ridiculous. But this is clown world. This is post-truth, postmodern world. And all this in the name of science, everything has become incredibly non-scientific and incredibly void of facts, logic, and reason. And it is unreal. The chart appears to vilify whole foods, especially meat, in an attempt to promote corporate junk food that comes from companies that have great lobbying power.
Oh, no way.
As dean of the Gerald J. and Dorothy R. Friedman School of Nutrition Science and Policy at Tufts University, Dr. DeRouche is deeply involved in food policy in the United States and abroad. Good old Tufts. Most recently, he was a panelist on the 41st National Food Policy Conference. He was also a presenter at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Nutrition Team Retreat Learning Session. He has been an advisor to the American Heart Association, the World Health Organization, and the United Nations, all the most terrible suspects, the most terrible usual suspects. Dr. DeRouche's work at Tufts University is funded by making the case for a National Institute of Nutrition. Rockefeller Foundation, another usual suspect, defining healthful balanced carbohydrates by Nestle Global Headquarters, and the Global Dietary Database too, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So it's no wonder why he promotes propaganda that vilifies whole foods and meat while promoting GMOs and other corporate products that cause chronic disease. Sadly enough, on September 28, 2022, Dr. DeRouche will be presenting distorted views on nutrition at the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health. And, you know, once again, we know that the Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health is how to create hunger and how to make sure people are malnourished and how to ensure that people are completely unhealthy. And that's the way the wordsmithery goes. And that's the way
opposite.
It's the way this propaganda works. And it's so embedded. And it's the same thing with the Green Deal. These mega corporations that produce tons of pollution, and they use all this oil-based energy. I'm not going to use the term fossil fuel, but they use all this petroleum-based energy to produce this garbage food. You know, they're fine. They can do that. But, you know, you got to harass Amos Miller. You got to harass the guys that are doing this in a regenerative way. And it's really hard to imagine and conceive. A Lucky Charms diet is a recipe for chronic disease. With Lucky Charms being ranked healthier than fresh meat, it's imperative to highlight some of the main chemical ingredients in this junk food. The Lucky Charms ingredient list contains sugar as the number 2 ingredient, with GMO corn syrup not far behind. The popular cereal brand also contains artificial dyes, namely red 40, yellow 5 and 6, and blue 1. The product is enhanced with artificial flavors and vitamin isolates that are made in a lab. It seems that Dr. DeRouche, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly because it would really hurt my feelings if I was butchering his name, completely missed the facts about Lucky Charms as the government starts to vilify meat while continuing to poison the population for profit. A Lucky Charms diet is a heavy carbohydrate diet and inflammatory obesity-driven nightmare. These junk foods are marketed directly to kids while providing no essentials, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, healthy fats, or amino acids. To make matters worse, red 40 and yellow 5 are both known carcinogens linked to ADHD and childhood allergies. As a daily breakfast item, Lucky Charms does nothing but create systemic chronic inflammation due to its sugar and corn syrup content. This inflammation leads to several chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, mellitus, chronic kidney disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and autoimmune and neurodegenerative disorders.
That sounds awesome.
Yummy. I want a bowl of that. None of this actually matters to the government as it develops its latest nutritional guidance and prepares to market it as the science.
The science.
So we'll link this down below. You can see here, there's your PDF article of this whole thing. And if you attempt to quote them, you can't even read it. It's very strange. I do encourage you to look at it. It's bizarre. It's just, the world is a bizarre place.
It is.
It's hard to wrap your head around. But so this is just more of this dystopian rewriting of history as far as what is healthy and what isn't healthy. And
They're straight up like changing the definition of it right in front of our faces.
And it's clearly showing you like the end game and the end goal is for disease. Because it would be one thing for you to say meat is bad. Okay, so meat's bad and all this stuff. So eat fruits and vegetables. They don't do that. No, they'll sprinkle some in to try to as a cloak of legitimacy. But they're saying no, eat Lucky Charms and eat double stuffed Cheerios because they're vegan and all this kind of stuff.
Terrible.
And unfortunately, a very large proponent of the population will be like, all right, that's a great idea. Yeah,
I already eat them. So
I'm gonna eat Lucky Charms all day if it's that good for me, And I mean, you hear about these type of things. I started back up intermittent fasting again. So I feel really good intermittent fasting, and I eat on a small window from like 5 to what time is it right now? Like 5 to 8, something like that. So I eat 3 hours and I take in all my calories, and then during the day I try to drink a gallon of water, and I'll drink maybe a couple black cups of Texas Boys hazelnut.
So if you drink coffee during your intermittent fasting, that doesn't mess it up? That's not a food or whatever?
Well, because there's no, the thing to intermittent fasting and fasting is you don't want to ever spike your insulin. So as long as, I want to use my terminology properly, as long as you're not consuming anything that'll spike any kind of sugars or anything that'll spike your insulin, it keeps your metabolic rate using your fat stores to process in ketosis as energy. So you're getting your energy from your stores. So your metabolism is working more efficiently. It's working longer,
which is good.
It's utilizing what you have, and this is how you'll come to a great medium body weight. Curtis Stone did a video just
I watched that one
last week, and he's like, "Hey, y'all wonder why I'm so thin?" And it's funny, a guy at work yesterday, the day before yesterday, he asked me, he's like, "What do you think about intermittent fasting?" I was like, "Man, I ate that way for like 3 or 4 years, and I really liked it." And he was like, "Oh yeah, why don't you do it now?" And I'm like, great question. You get in, you just kind of get in patterns and ruts. And sometimes you don't even like analyze it. And I'm like, I'm like, why am I not intermittent fasting? I liked, and usually it takes a couple week period to get back into it. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to get up. I'll have a small cup of Texas Boys hazelnut black coffee. And I'm going to do my thing and do my routine and go to work. And I wasn't even hungry at all till 2.
Wow.
And then now when I got home, and that's the one thing, at least for me, and I don't lift like I used to be able to anymore because of my shoulder, but I want a lot of protein when I do eat. And Matt made us some killer grass-fed grilled chicken, and it was incredible.
It was really good.
And
so
it was, I highly recommend intermittent fasting. I'm hypoglycemic. And so some people say, oh, well, you can't do that, but you can. And fasting has also been known to cure, and I'm not a doctor, y'all.
No.
Fasting has been known to cure type 2 diabetes, whichever the non-insulin dependent diabetes.
And we're not doctors. So
yeah, we're not doctors, but I'm hypoglycemic and I can intermittent fast with a very small eating window, and I sleep great and I feel great.
Do some research on it.
Doing it. I would recommend doing some research on that.
Sounds good. So thank you all so much for watching today's video. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see y'all later.
All right. See y'all.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.